if you've had any experience on the ground dealing with cameras, so please stand up. At least 1 year's experience on the ground. Okay. 5 years experience dealing with it. 10? 20? We still got, how many years? But you've been doing this for 10 years. Is it gone?
Oh, some of it is.
That's the answer I wanted to hear, because in our area, some of it is and some of it isn't. But yeah, we're all here doing the same thing, and like my old supervisor used, I'm Chris Aimone, I'm from Wyoming. I'm a weed and pest supervisor in Uinta County. And my old supervisor said there's one thing that's going to be here long before we are, and that's going to be weeds and bugs. And they're still going to, it's going to be the same weeds and the same bugs we've been fighting for years. So, and unfortunately, I'm afraid he might be right on a few things. But I just want to hit some of the key points that I want to go over with you on this project. I want to talk about the development, the objectives, and some of the long-term goals. I've been in the weed and pest industry for several years, and I've been through the latest and greatest phases. We're going to change from, this is our new buzzword, this is our new buzzword. Well, I remember fighting...
Just because it's recording, you can have your...
Okay. I remember fighting black henbane. We're still fighting black henbane. That was one of the buzz things in our county the first year it came in. But then our funding got cut, and so now we have it again. Just so you have an idea of the drainage area that we are on, we feed into the Flaming Gorge. I know you've got to figure out how to run the pointer. Okay, the Black Fork River, and I apologize, I thought this is so better. The Black Fork River feeds into the Flaming Gorge, which feeds down into, which is the main tributary for the Colorado River. All these little tributaries are headwaters for the Black Fork River. And one of the unique things that we have is we're at the headwaters of this. So if we have the opportunity to stop stuff at the headwaters, we have a little bit better chance of controlling it before we lose everything. And so the BLM went out and did a survey. It was in 2004. Everybody started to get on the bandwagon about saltcedar. And they found a few trees. And I said, oh, we don't have any saltcedar in our county. It's not there. We just have a few trees here and there. A lot of them were ornamentals in people's yards. Well, they went out and did a survey. And we started treatment with imazapyr and triclopyr, you know, our typical arsenals in the herbicide world. And then I thought, well, okay, this one tributary is feeding into the main river, the main corridor, so probably we're going to have it somewhere else. Well, we did an aerial survey of the Black Fork River from Lincoln County to Uinta County. And guess what I found? Saltcedar. All these little trees right here are in those sand barges. But one thing unique about our area is we have pockets. They're not little pockets, but we have pockets. We haven't lost the whole riparian area to Saltcedar. So I felt like this fox at one point. Do I bury my head in the snow and say to hell with it? I mean, what do? We have no money. We're going to have to try and figure out what we're going to do with this program, because we're looking at about 200, 300 miles of river. Luckily, the Kemmerer BLM, along with the WLCI, which is the Wyoming State Conservation Initiative, Weed and Pest, we've basically formed a gentleman's working agreement. And we sat down, we worked with private landowners, we got funding, we figured out ways to at least start to develop a plan of work. The whole project started with about $200,000 for 5 years. And we were able to just outline some of our objectives, some of our goals, and look at some long-term goals. So basically what we did is we've chunked up our river, because if you broke it into manageable chunks each year and looked at a plan, we started on the Cottonwood drainage because we knew we had quite a bit there, and the Smith Fork River. That was our primary area. The Black Fork, luckily when we did the survey, it kind of wound down right in through here. Once we got up into this area, we didn't have the Saltcedar, so we didn't have to worry about this tributary. We worked on the Muddy Creek. But one of the unique things is we have this checkerboard, which is every other section is either private, BLM, or state. So we've got multiple landowners. This is all private lands, and there's multiple landowners in this area. So that's one of the reasons why we formed that cooperative agreement, is so that we could just blur these land ownership lines. I didn't have to stop spraying when I went past, when we got onto the private land. The private landowners worked with us, we worked with them, the Conservation District helped us with funding, the Weed and Pest provided funding, and we just blurred ownership lines. And it really seemed to make a good working cohesive group. If you can see, that is basically a breakdown of our private land with BLM. So we have to work together. Total of the miles surveyed in each year, we broke it down into, like I said, little chunks. And those are the areas, in 2012, we sprayed most of the drainage. We made it all the way, 2013, we made it all the way to the Lincoln-Uinta County line, which is right, whoops, I knew I'd do that. And it does go really fast. We are right here. We've completed this whole drainage. And knock on wood, we've got probably about 90% control. Each year we find little starts. Some of them we're able to just go hand pull. Others we've been going back and treating. We've seen the bonsai effect on some of the mature trees. After 2 or 3 years, they'll start coming back and spiraling up. But I think the thing that really remains true is we want to make sure that we go back. I don't want to spend all this time and money and 20 years down the road be worse than where we are. This will just break down. I'll let you see kind of the acreages that we've treated. This number, in 2013, we got down to, we were treating 200, 300, almost 300 acres. But in 2012, we surveyed quite a large area and only found 37 acres of saltcedar. So we are, with saltcedar, we have perennial pepperweed, we have other weeds. If we're out there treating, we might as well multitask. So that was some of the areas where we just started our perennial pepperweed control. And 33 acres of saltcedar, but 140 of pepperwood were treated in 2013, and other noxious weeds. So if we're out there pounding the ground, I don't know about all you guys, but it's really hard for me to spray one thing and look over there and say, oh, there's some more weeds, but I'm going to leave them. So we were going down with, one crew had the Invasive, or another crew had the Clostridium and 2,4-D to do the pepperweed. So we were covering the areas and able to do some multi-species approaches on this. But, like I said, this is not a cheap little process. We've been lucky to have money. Very labor intensive. A lot of the area we have to backpack, go up and down the drainages with backpacks, so labor is killing us. It is very labor intensive. We've got such a big area, we do not want to use a helicopter or an airplane because of water issues. Plus, we're looking at habitat, which we want to not lose our desirable grass species, any kind of desirable thing. So with the Invasive treatments, you get more bare ground. We're doing spot treatments. It's a good thing that we had some great grants because my budget could not afford this if we did not have cooperation. The herbicide treatments are a lot cheaper. These treatments were our remedy treatments, and they are the herbicide is a lot more expensive with that. Where our Invasive and those are cheaper per acre. But we've got a better window in the fall. If we can't get to it, we can treat in the fall with the other herbicides. And the other thing we've tried is some of the bugs, but we're in isolated pockets. And we have a problem with insects establishing because of our winters. We don't know for sure why, but they really don't like southwest Wyoming. We've had lots of bugs that way. Oops. I think I just, there we go. How am I doing for time? Okay, good. I don't want to go over for you guys. This is just some of the areas that we have treated, and I thought you might, this has been 3 years out. This is 2012, 2013, same thing. I mean, we're having some success, and we don't have a lot of vegetation on these stream banks, but as you can see, we've got a lot of saline soils, clay soils, and somebody once told me if the saltcedar or Russian olive are the tree of choice, do we really want trees out there? And there's a good point to that. Some of these areas are not real conducive to trees. But we've done some revegetation in some areas, and we thought that we were doing good, and we planted 140 trees, and in 2010 we got about 50% to live the next year. 2011 we put 500 seedling trees out, and it's a lot of work to do that. And all of a sudden we finally got water in one big fail swoop, and then we got nothing after that. And it washed out. You know, we're trying to get on the riverbanks so that these trees will actually have a chance to establish. And they probably are in Nebraska. And but then in 2012, we received a grant with private grazing land that allowed for fencing, and we got onto private ground, and we were able to put in some big trees, and we've fenced those areas off. And we've had some success, but we watered those trees because in 2012 and 2013, we haven't had much moisture. So we've been watering these trees. We've been babying them, and needless to say, the cost. It's astronomical. We were really high that one year because we were watering every week. And a lot of this is in-kind services, not from the grant, but what I just figured what it would cost my crews to go out and spray or to water those trees. But, you know, we're seeing a 60% survival in these seedlings the second and third year. These are inside those little cages. If you can, you'll see that is actually a little green tree, and there's trees that are actually alive through there. The buffalo berries seem to be the most readily accepted. Oops, sorry. And one thing that the fencing kept the livestock out, but rabbits loved my trees. So what's working? One thing I can say is long-term funding, continuation, cooperation between agencies and people on the ground. And one thing I want, Lars Baker from Fremont County, I don't know if any of you ever met him, but he always says so many weeds, so little time. One thing that I think that's going to be critical to any project is we continue to go back and we go monitor. I want to just thank everybody that contributed to this. This was a multi-agency, multi-group project. And I think I want to maybe have time for one question, and I thought you might enjoy that.
Where did you get the original $200,000 in funding?
That came through WLCI and the BLM and private landowners and Conservation District and Weed and Pest. So we all kicked in money for that. But a lot of that was through the BLM, through one of their grants that they have on the ground, and then our WLCI, which is our Wyoming Landscape Conservation Initiative. And that money, that seed money for that was from some of the oil fields out there.
Chris, what's WLCI?
WLCI is the Wyoming Land Conservation Institute, Wyoming Landscape, and it is for southwest Wyoming. It was able to be formed because of the major oil field development. The governor went in and tried to get some funding from the oil fields to put back because we had that Jonah and all the major oil fields. So that money was kind of seed money to start projects like this on the ground.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.